Got you. And once you graduated university, like what was your next steps after that? Like how was your experience after getting out of
So
university?
I took my sweet time graduating university. I'll be the first one to admit I wasn't the guy who was getting straight A's or anything. I struggled. I'm going to be very honest because I would say one of the factors was that I really was with a different mindset in terms of education. I was always with the mindset, okay, just rote learn it and you'll get done with it, right? But coming from one type of education to another, it was very different in the US. Granted, even in Pakistan, rote learning will not get you there in most cases, but just that thought process, you know what? I don't understand this. I'll learn these 20 formulas and I'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, learning the formulas help, but if I didn't understand them, I couldn't apply them. So that made me struggle a lot. The second thing was I just got this whole level of freedom and I just didn't know what to do with it, right? I was just constantly out with friends and going here, going there, never really focused on school. But most of my work experience from the start was while I was in school. So when I joined Ameriprise, I was a freshman in college, and I just wanted something to do in my free time. So it was an internship that I did, and that's really where I got into Excel. The advisor I was working with, he really showed me a couple of very interesting formulas and how you can work around in Excel, and that just reiterated how much I enjoy this. After Ameriprise, I transitioned to, I believe, for 2 months before I moved to with Barney, I sold cars. I just went to the dealership down the street and I said, "Hey, I'm going to sell the cars." And they said, "All right, we have another dealership that's about 10 miles from here. It's an Infinity dealership out in Tyson's Corner. If you want to sell cars there, sure." I got the interview, I got the job, and I sold cars for 2 months. But I realized that's a great environment to adapt to different personalities and be able to interact with different personalities. But that required such a strong time commitment that you could not do college and your bachelor's degree and that as a full time job. And they didn't offer any part time opportunities. So it was about 2 months over the summer that I did that. And then after that, I was in college. The next semester started. And I went to our career center. I said, I'm looking for an internship. And there was a sign up there from the advisor at Citibank. We just needed someone to help him make cold calls and help him drum up business. I said, it's a learning experience. Might as well, right? I reached out to him and I interviewed with him and I got the job. I still remember I was getting paid $7.55 an hour, which was minimum wage at that time, to be on the phone for 40 hours a week and just, they'd be a list, call as many people and set up appointments. And I was setting up appointments, getting things done. And then about a month or so in, the entire team moved to UBS and I went with the team. They gave me a little bit of a raise and said, just come on, we could use you. I said, great, I'm coming. So I moved with them to
So
UBS. So it was a great experience with them.
yeah, so when you say UBS, that's like the Switzerland
The
bank,
Union
right? If
Bank
I'm
of
not mistaken.
Switzerland. Yep. Yeah. The
Okay.
Union Bank of Switzerland had their wealth management. They had a wealth management division out in the Northern Virginia area. So
Got
that's
you.
where I was working. Now, during that time, I actually met a bunch of different people at the Union Bank of Switzerland. One gentleman who I met, great interaction. He's actually from Karachi. He went to grammar school as well. His name is Shariar. He was the managing director of investment banking at UBS at that time. And we had a great conversation. And I think he was just so passionate about the field that, again, these interactions really help you reinforce which side you want to go to, right? So after
That's rare.
it definitely is.
Investment
Yeah.
banking, yeah.
So after UBS, again, I was looking for other opportunities, and there was another opportunity that came up to work for TD Bank, the Toronto Dominion Bank. This was in Arlington, Virginia, so about it was a long trade ride. Let's just put it that way daily. But it was working in the bank as a customer service rep, and customer service reps are primarily those people who resolve account issues, just sit at the desk, open account, issue new debit cards, that kind of stuff. That was also a great experience, and it was paying me more. I thoroughly loved it. And towards the time where I was getting towards what I ended with TD was around the same time where my father got the opportunity for Houston. And I was in the process of transferring universities and all that to Houston. So I moved to Houston and we're finally all back in the same house. So that was great. Both my brothers, mom, dad, me. So it was amazing. And during that period, I was looking for opportunities and I have always been a fan of snooker and pool. So one thing that I would constantly do is I would go to the local pool halls and play pool league. And that's when I came across a gentleman who would play very regularly. He was a very strong player, still is. And I would play games against him. And one time he said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm looking for a job, but this is my background." He said, "Why don't you come work for us? I work for Edward Jones." I said,
Oh,
"Great."
wow.
So he set up an interview for me as an on-call branch associate, and I went and I got hired. And then I moved from his office to another department at another office. And I spent 5 years at Edward Jones. And over time, it just got to this point where it's like you have two options for growth, right? You move to St. Louis and go in corporate with corporate advising, trust accounts, or you go into the financial advisor route. I'm a horrible test taker. So financial advisor route was already something I was scared of. So then I looked at development, trust account management roles and stuff, but I wasn't done with a bachelor's degree and they required that at a minimum. So I said, I got to figure this out. So I just took some time, focused on school very heavily, made sure I focus on that, take care of that person. Because I wanted to focus on school, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have too many outside distractions in terms of work and all. And again, perk of living at home, I didn't have any major financial requirements like mortgage payment or rent payment or this payment, that payment. The joint family system, that's where this all plays a critical role. So when I was working on my education, again, playing pool, a gentleman approached me and he said, "Hey, I heard you're looking for a job. I have a sales role if you're interested." I said, "Sure, why not?" And that's when I went to Coveron. This was something very different from finance. So this was selling a service to different businesses around town. So we had an inside sales team who would set the appointment and I'd be the guy who'd go and get them to sign up for our services. It was going great. And I had a great opportunity learning, working with different businesses. I have a box this big right now. It's just a thing with cards. But people like, you
Yeah.
can literally take their card out and call them and they'll say, "Hey, Sarim, how's it going?" So it really helps with your networking and development. So sales roles are scary. They're tricky. It's hard for anyone to really fall into that role. But I really think it's about getting out of that comfort zone and being able to say, "Yes, I want to do this."